So we're just 1 week away from the final shape, and there were a lot of armor and ability changes this past week, but one thing that did remain, and I still think is going to be the most powerful hunter build that you can run going into the final shape, is going to be our Lucky Pants setup. Now, specifically on Solar Hunter, there are some specific things you can do with stasis, but overall, for just having this equipped, doing every single piece of content, GMs, lost sectors, raids, really does not matter. I think this is one of the best options you can use. The damage bonuses you get are insane because we have 3 things stacking on top of each other. You get the Lucky Pants buff, you get a Radiant buff, then also you get the Surge mods on your boots, boosting the hand cannons that you're running, so that way you can deal insane amounts of damage, and best of all, it's on a primary weapon, so you don't have to worry about ammo. It's just that 10-second cooldown between firing, and that's it. It is just free damage. You throw that into rotation with an edge transit or any sort of really good special. You can have some crazy damage output. Not to mention, on top of all of that, you get restoration as well since we're running solar, so the survivability is really good. Overall, I think this is just the perfect hunter build. So we're going to be going over everything you need to know to put this build together, but really quick before we do that, I just want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid is a game with millions of users, hundreds of champions, and constant monthly updates. And right now, up until May 30th, there is a Spring Hunt mini game going on in the game. Players will need to find hidden items around the Mistwood. Simply download Raid using my link or the QR code, and then head to the address that you see on screen, enter your Raid ID, and start searching for missing items. Once completed, you can win real-life prizes like a gaming console or Amazon gift cards worth a total value of $10,000. Not to mention you can get in-game loot like legendary champions or skill tomes. On top of the Spring Hunt, there are also community weeks going on all the way until July 8th. You can get the free legendary champion Chronicler Adolin, and all you need to do is log in for 7 days between now and July 8th. Adolin is a top tier support who can put enemies to sleep without even hitting them. Once again, make sure you guys use the link in the description or scan my QR code to get insane bonuses only available with my link. You'll get a huge starter pack with the epic champion Tyrell, and you'll get another starter pack after reaching level 25 that includes epic Rector Drath. And then also, after you download the game via my link, use the promo code SPRINGHUNT24 to get silver and more. Hopefully I'll see you guys in game. You can find me under the name Chadley99, but once again, thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring today's video. So what do the Lucky Pants actually do? So what these are going to end up doing is when you ready a fully loaded hand cannon that's either kinetic or it's a damage type that matches your subclass, each hit from that hand cannon is going to stack up damage on the next shot, and that's going to go up to 10 stacks. You're going to get 60% increased damage per shot all the way up until those 10 stacks. So at max stacks, you're going to get 600% increased damage, and that stacks with everything. So essentially what we're trying to do with this is get as many multiplicative buffs as we can. So the other one being Radiant. So if you go ahead and hit anybody with your throwing knives, you're going to become Radiant. Also, if you're just standing in a well with a teammate, you're going to get that Radiance right there. So that's going to be another 25% stacking with that 600%. And then you add in these surges on top of that. And right now you can, obviously you can run triple and get that basically 22%. But you can do any combination of surges. So you can do the 10% from 1, the 17 from 2, or the 22% from 3. It's completely up to you and how you want your other weapons to feel. But just right there is to show you exactly how much we can stack up our damage with this build. And then obviously the most important thing we're going to be looking at in addition to our Lucky Pants with this build is the hand cannon that we're going to be taking advantage of with it. So there's 2 really good options that you guys want to be using. For any sort of just you're trying to output as much damage as humanly possible, the Warden's Law is going to be your best bet with 4 times and Vorpal. This way you can shoot as many shots as you can because this is going to be in burst, and each shot of the burst is going to stack up your Lucky Pants by a stack. So you can reach that 10 stacks the quickest. But the issue is you are going to have to like reload during the buff if you can't hit all precision shots. Yeah, you get to the 20 shots, but that is just something to keep in mind. So another really good option, and sometimes even better if you're fighting Taken, is the Malfeasance. Also, it has built-in Unstoppable on it, so you can freely swap between these with whatever you are doing. It is completely up to you. Once again, Warden's Law is the most damage humanly possible, but if you guys don't have that, the Malfeasance is fantastic, and usually is just what I'm running anyways when I don't want to have to worry about like hitting my shots for 4 times, anything like that. This way you can just spam it. Also, you get the extra damage from the slugs, which they do not get buffed by Lucky Pants, but one thing it does is if you're a little bit far away, those slugs will still deal the same damage no matter your range, so it ends up being a little bit of a range buff too, compared to like the Warden's Law if you're shooting from pretty far in like a GM. It is kind of situational, but once again, pick between these two and you'll be good to go. I wouldn't really use anything else. Essentially what you're trying to do with Lucky Pants is have as high of fire rate as possible. So 180s or the 257 bursts are going to be your go-to. Maybe we'll get something better with Final Shape, but right now these two are going to be the ones that I am running. Otherwise, I like to just run the mini tool with Unrelenting Incandescent on here. You can run a hand cannon here. You just have to be very careful with how you're swapping between your buffs. Say you swap to your heavy and you just want to go back to your primary, you're going to end up using your buff on accident. So that is something to keep in mind, but it can be done if you are very careful. Otherwise, mini tool or going into Final Shape, something like a Solar Pulse is going to be a really good option. Heavy, I essentially only just run Envy Assassin, Bait and Switch, Edge Transit. You can always put on your Eager Edge, Slammer, whatever Eager Edge sword you want if you just want to be moving around a little bit quicker. So one really nice part about this is that you're always going to have damage out of your hand cannon, so you can just use something like mobility if you're not doing that hard of content. Taking a look at the subclass itself, the super you want to be running is the Golden Gun Marksman. This way you can make a lot of orbs, deal a lot of damage at range. It's a really good super. Then I like to run Marksman Dodge. You use this at the end of your Lucky Pants buff to instantly reload your hand cannon back to full. That way it's always ready to go the next time the buff is ready. I like Triple Jump, but you can use whatever one you want. I personally like Knife Trick, maybe with the Final Shape update. Lightweight Knife could be really good because this would be a base 2 charges. We're going to have to see how that plays out, but you can do Knife Trick or any other knife that you really want. I personally just like Knife Trick. And then I like to run Healing Nades. You can run a damaging one, but I like the survivability from there. As the aspects, we're going to run On Your Mark and then Knock them down. This way, our Golden Gun is going to have that increased duration. Also, whenever we're Radiant and we get a Throwing Knife Final Blow, we're going to get it right back. And once again, that cooldown on there is getting reduced, so you can spam your knives way more, especially in lower content. And then also On Your Mark is going to increase your weapon handling and reload speed. And this is great once you use our class abilities, can be maximum stacks. So it's really good for just our weapons and getting around. And then for the actual fragments, I like to run Ember of Torches so we can become Radiant when we hit enemies with our melee attack. Now, I have Ember of Ashes right now because I have Enhanced Incandescent on. If you guys aren't running Enhanced Incandescent, what you can run is Ember of Singeing. So whenever you scorch targets, you're going to get your class ability to recharge a little bit quicker. So you can swap between those two. Ember of Searing. So whenever you defeat a scorched target, you're going to create that fire sprite. And then that's also going to go into Ember of Mercy here. So picking up a fire sprite grants restoration. Those two go hand in hand. And then finally, your solar weapon and ability Final Blows will extend the restoration and radiant effects applied to you. That way you can stack up your restoration, have that always be active during firefights, and keep that damage buff from radiance always going. For your stats on this build, first thing, and essentially what you're going to be doing on every single build out there, is just maxing out your resilience first, so you get that 30% DR. From there, then I would go into Discipline, just because we are using Healing Nades. That way we can have as much healing and survivability as possible. And then from there, go into Mobility so you can get your dodges. Essentially what I do at the end of every burst from my Lucky Pants is I will just dodge and have it reload right then and there. That way, whenever I come back to it, it is always good to go and I don't have to waste any time reloading. So those are like the main stats that I would look for in this build. Now, for the actual mods on it, on the helmet, you're going to want to run Harmonic Siphon so you can get the orbs out of your solar weapon. And then I like to run Dynamo and Hands-On for more super, just because we are using a Golden Gun in here. You can run double Hands-On if you'd like, if you're not really finding yourself that close to targets, but I do like to have different sources, so there's less diminishing returns. Then for the arms, what you're going to want is a Harmonic / Solar Loader. I just have this here because why not? It doesn't really change anything. Then I'm running Focusing Strike and Impact Inductions, since we're able to spam our melee like crazy, and we're going to be able to spam melee even more with the ability changes. There's not going to be that 1 second cooldown anymore. It's going to be like 0.1, 0.2 seconds. So that way you guys can just be throwing your knife tricks all the time, getting those kills and getting your energy back for your other abilities. Then on the chest piece, just run different resists. So I just run like melee, arc, it really does not matter, completely up to the content that you're running. You can run sniper, completely up to you. On the boots, I like to run recuperation just for a little bit of extra survivability. Restoration is nice, but it's not always going to be going if you like say pick up the fire sprite and there's nothing to kill. So it is nice to have that option of just a big burst heal when you pick up an orb, and you're gonna be creating a lot of orbs. And then here, once again, you can run your 2 kinetic surges, your kinetic and solar for your primary weapon. It's completely up to you what combination you want to run. And then on the actual class item is where I run Powerful Attraction. This has saved my life many times with recuperation. You pop that class ability, you pick up some orbs around you, and you just heal back up to full. Time dilation so we can keep our surges longer, and then also bombers so we can get our healing nades back a little bit quicker. This is only going to be active for the next week, but I just wanted to share in case you guys are using this build leading up to the final shape. So really quick for the artifact, Raise the Precision, Revitalizing Blast, Torch, Flint Striker, and Kindling Trigger are kind of like the main artifact perks. But if you guys have everything, obviously that's perfectly fine. But if you don't, that's currently what I'm running. Yeah, that is our Lucky Pants Solar Hunter and currently how I have it set up. I'm very curious to see how this ends up playing out in the final shape, especially once we compare it to the new Prismatic subclass and everything new that we're going to be getting within that expansion. So it's going to be very exciting to see. But right now, I plan on taking this into almost everything if I have to try really hard. Obviously, I'm going to be trying out Prismatic and having fun with that. But if I'm going to be trying really hard in like the raid or something, I'm probably going to be doing a version of something with the Lucky Pants. So I highly recommend you guys throw this build together for yourselves. It is just so strong that you can one burst champions within a GM and just always have a huge damage output burst ready to go for basically anything. You combine that with some swap weapons and you're going to be able to cook literally any boss, champion, whatever is in front of you. It is so good. I'm going to be releasing a bunch of other builds throughout this week leading into the final shape. They're all going to be tuned to the changes that we know that are coming. So hopefully they end up working out as well as I think they will. But if you guys are interested in that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Also consider leaving a thumbs up on the video to let me know. Also, make sure you guys leave a comment. Just comment something about the video. It really does help out the algorithm stuff. So if you guys want to see more, make sure you do that. But anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya.